Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the October 23rd, 2018 meeting of Henderson County Fiscal Court. We're glad you're with us this morning. We'll begin, as we always do, with an invocation, and our good friend, Father Rich Martindale from St. Paul's Episcopal Church, is going to lead us in prayer. Please stand.
Let us pray. Gracious and loving Father of all, we give you thanks for raising up among us leaders of wisdom, courage, and strength. In all times, but especially in this time of debate and decision, help us to lay aside our prejudices and our prides. Help us to resist the persistent danger of appeals to fear and to contempt and to self-interest. Help us day by day and moment by moment to realize that we are stronger together than we can ever hope to be divided. And help us, we pray, to remember that it is in serving one another that we truly serve you. Finally, Lord of all, continue to bless those whom we have chosen to lead and serve this community with thoughtful and careful minds, with open and honest hearts, and with willing and tireless hands and feet, that they may go everywhere they must go and do whatever they must do. All which we ask, trusting in your goodness and love, and in your own most holy name. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Rich. Very much appreciate you being here. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Magistrate Putman.
Here.
Magistrate Warren.
Here.
Magistrate Alexander.
Here.
Magistrate Wilkerson.
Here.
Magistrate Todd.
Here.
Thank you. Gentlemen, you have before you the minutes of the October 2nd, 2018 Henderson County Fiscal Court meeting. After a period of review, I'll entertain a motion to accept those into the record.
I move to accept.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other additions, corrections, or clarifications? Please call for a vote.
Magistrate Wilkerson.
Aye.
Magistrate Todd.
Aye.
Magistrate Alexander.
Aye.
Magistrate Warren.
Aye.
Magistrate Putman.
Aye.
Thank you. We have with us to start the agenda this morning Ms. Abby Dixon from the Henderson Tourist Commission, who is here for an award presentation. Ms. Dixon.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for having me today. It's always a lot of fun when I get to come and brag on some of our partners who are creating a unique experience for our visitors. HandyFest Committee is one of them, so I'm really excited to have some representatives from the committee here with me today. Each year, Kentucky Living magazine opens up the polls across the state so that we can recognize the best of the best from around the Commonwealth. And this is everything from our food to our farmers market, even selfie spots, which is kind of an interesting accolade to receive. Actually, I have a copy of this year's Kentucky Living. I'm going to pass it around so you guys can look. It's tabbed where you're looking. I get out of breath really easily these days. Winners are announced at the state fair every year, so that happened back in August this year. And this year, I'm so excited to announce that Henderson was recognized 9 times for this award. That's more than any other community in the state. So 9 times, it's a big deal. Some of our partners who were recognized for selfie spot are Henderson Riverfront. It's beautiful. Everyone's taking a selfie there. Our sweet spot, 2nd Street Treats, Barbecue, J&B, Hamburger, Metzger's Tavern, Camping Spot, John James Audubon State Park, which is really impressive. Even when the state park is closed for the season, we're still one of the best camping spots out there. Farmers Market, Henderson Farmers Market, Arts and Music Venue, Preston Arts Center, winery, the #1 winery in the state, Farmer and Frenchman, big deal, and the #1 event or festival in all the states. So competing against the Kentucky Bourbon Festival, they had like John Mayer this year. WC Handy Blues and Barbecue Festival. So round of applause for these guys. They're awesome. One thing to note, accolades for the Handy Fest are really nothing new. This festival is consistently recognized as a Kentucky Travel Industry Association Top 10 event, Southeast Tourism Society Top 20 event, and then this year, again, the #1 music festival in all of the states. So pretty cool. On June 12th through 15th this year, we can expect our hotels to be full, our restaurants to be packed, visitors to be in Audubon Mill Park. The economic impact is huge, and I know that Henderson County is always very supportive of this event. So on behalf of the Tourist Commission, I want to thank you guys for all of your support, and I want to thank this group for working so diligently throughout the year to make this festival happen. It's a group of volunteers, lots of long hours, blood, sweat, and tears. Sometimes it rains, sometimes it's really hot, like this past year. But they get to work every year to create this special event for our hometown. So, Brian and crew, come on up and accept your award. They're shy. This is the #1 festival in the state of Kentucky. Congratulations. And like I said, they don't rest on their laurels. They're already hard at work ensuring a solid festival for 2019. And with that, I think there's a special partnership that Festival Committee Chair Brian Bishop would like to announce.
Thank you, Abby, and she's exactly right. For our 29th year, I'm happy to announce that we have officially signed the contract, and Field and Main will be our presenting sponsor once again. It's been a great relationship, which we keep going. So again, thanks to Field and Main, and thanks to everyone involved.
Thank you all again for all your support. We'll see you in Audubon Mill Park, June 12th through 15th this year for the 29th year of the Handy Festival.
Well, no, don't sit down yet. Don't sit down. We can't leave it at that. We are so proud of the Handy Festival. And I know that there are members of Fiscal Court who have long history with Handy Fest. And it's not merely become our signature event, even though it has. It is in many ways part of our historic culture. And you have done such a great job preserving it. The amount of man hours and woman hours and volunteer hours that it takes to put this on is incredible, and I've seen it firsthand, and I'm impressed every year. And this recognition by Kentucky Living Magazine, as far as I'm concerned, is the least they can do for all that you all do to keep this going. It is amazing on Friday night and Saturday night to look out at Audubon Mill Park and see all those people, and know that a good half of them are not from Henderson County, they're from other places. Truly incredible, and it is known statewide and region-wide. And I invite any other members of Fiscal Court who have anything to say. I welcome your comments.
You know what? And I'm an old guy. You know, I remember when that started. We had a lot of the local bands were playing that. You know, and you'd have some regional bands that would come in that wasn't. I mean, they weren't big names, but the good entertainment, to say the least. To look where it's grown, where you get all these name brand blues acts in, is just fantastic. Just a great job. Just keep up the good work. And thank you.
I want to say the same thing, and going back when I was at the chamber, I remember Marcia Eblin getting this started, that, you know, who would have thought, and maybe she did, I shouldn't say that, because I bet you Marcia and the other original, that it would grow to this popular and this nice. I've got college friends from the early 70s that make it a routine trip to come. I mean, that's kind of like their mini vacation is Henderson. So it's great to what you all do, and thank you. And Steve, I know you're also active in it. I know you'll say something, but thanks for all your emceeing, and the judge, I know you MC as well. So thank you for what you do as well.
Also, I think anytime we get a chance to showcase our county the way we do, And there's nothing I know of that showcased it any more or any better than this festival. That's a positive thing for this county.
I think each year it's gotten bigger and bigger. We've had friends come from out of town and stay with us, I guess the last 3 years. And, I mean, of course, it's handy for us because we can walk down. But this year it was really big.
And people of all ages.
Yeah,
It is.
Down Silver Park, which is really cool.
and I certainly appreciate it. I love the blues music, and I'm other part of the states, and they find out you're from Henderson, they'll say, "Oh, y'all have that blues festival." And it's neat to walk downtown and look at the license plates and see how many people are from other states instead of just around here. So it's a great thing.
I was going to say something about that because this past year, Mr. Bishop and I, on Friday night, we took a golf cart ride around downtown and we were playing license plate bingo and had all kinds of places. I mean, there was Oklahoma, Maine, Vermont, you name it. It was all over. And one of the things we do is we like to crunch numbers a lot because we like to show return on investment. And through all the surveys that we do, we consistently show anywhere between about 2/3 to 3/4 of all the people in the park are from more than 50 miles away. And when you look at the economic impact of that, like Abby said, every hotel is full. The Evansville hotels are full. Owensboro hotels fill up because of this, and a whole lot of couches get filled up, and a lot of money gets spent in Henderson. So that economic impact of just this 1 week that this unpaid group of volunteers does is incredible, and I'm proud to have been a part of it.
A couple years ago, I got the chance to MC on the night that the Fabulous Thunderbirds headlined. I guess that was a Saturday night, and the lead singer, had obviously been in the music business a long time. They'd been very successful. He'd played big arenas and big stadiums, and I remember sitting on the side of the stage as he came off with all those people cheering them on after a great set. And he looked at me and he said, "Henderson County is pretty cool." He said, "Henderson, Kentucky is pretty cool." And I thought, what a great, guy's probably never been here before, may never come back. But for that hour, it was the center of the universe for blues music. And I thought that was really pretty neat, a great testament. And so thank you for all you do. I'm very proud for your award. I'm thankful to the Tourist Commission for kind of making a big deal out of this because it needs to. And I really appreciate the partnerships we have forming throughout our community now to help promote our downtown, help promote our county. Great things are happening, and this is just another example of that. So thank you very, very much for being here this morning, all of you.
One more thing, Judge. You just reminded, I think that was Jimmy Vaughn and the Fabulous Thunderbirds. Was that right, Steve? Yep. Well, now then you bring in Delbert McClinton. Who would ever thought you could see this guy free? I'm a big blues fan anyway, but I mean, thank you. Just thank you.
Well, an interesting story about Delbert McClinton is his people said he doesn't do encores. Right? He did 2. He did not want to get off the stage. He loved Henderson and he loved the energy that was there. It was really impressive. And he just, at 77 years old,
fantastic.
He was rocking it and loved Henderson. So, and that's, part of the thing is this festival can't be put on without the partnership with Field and Main, also the partnership with Fiscal Court. Fiscal Court has been supporting the Handy Festival for the last several years, and don't want to steal your thunder here, Brian, but I do want to thank Fiscal Court for their sponsorship of the festival. The bands don't play for free. A lot of people think that because it's a free festival, that means the bands are donating their time. They are not UNICEF. They are definitely charging, and the prices keep going up and up for these upper echelon bands. And I spoke with the chair of our music committee the other day, and I think you're going to be impressed with some of the names you're going to hear this year, too. Nothing's official yet.
You know what, Steve? Haven't been disappointed yet, so.
Another story I got to tell when there's 1,000 Handy Fest stories. One of my MC gigs, I got to introduce a young English girl who was 16, an accomplished blues musician. She was playing Handy Fest for the first time. She was from England. And the most recent gig she had done before coming here was playing before the Queen at Buckingham Palace. I said, so from Buckingham Palace to Henderson, Kentucky. People conflate the two. You know what she said? She said playing for the Queen was the thrill of a lifetime. Playing at the home of W.C. Handy was the thrill of a lifetime. She was just as proud to be in America playing professionally before people who really loved blues music as she was playing for the Queen. So I don't know whether she was telling me that just because I had the mic on her and she was talking to about 5,000 people, but it seemed very sincere. And that's another story of the Handy Fest, is how many rising blues musicians have kind of earned their spurs in Henderson. So it's another in a long line of terrific stories about everything you're doing. I hope you're proud of these accomplishments. Keep up the good work. Thank you. Next on the agenda, we have with us this morning Mr. Clay Horton, who's director of the Green River District Area Health Department. And he's brought a couple guests with him, I hope, to discuss a program and issue they've been deliberating at the local level, which is Syringe Access Exchange Program. And I've asked Mr. Horton to come this morning and give us some more information on what the conversation has been at the district level and something we might consider at the local level later this year, which is a Syringe Access Exchange Program. So with that, Clay, I'll give you the floor.
Thank you, Judge. I appreciate the opportunity to come to speak to Fiscal Court. And you are correct. I've brought a few colleagues with me today. John Marshall, who's the chairman of our Henderson Board of Health, Henderson County Board of Health. Also have leadership here at our Henderson County Health Center, Jan Bratcher and Ruth Stocking. And Cindy Burton, who's the director of Matthew 25, who's been a strong advocate for this issue here. So just to give you all a little bit of background, the state legislature in 2015 passed a comprehensive heroin bill. And part of that bill allowed local health departments to operate harm reduction programs. And the idea here is that we want to reduce the harm that's coming to our community from illicit drug use. And the reason for that legislation at the time was there was a growing opioid problem in the state, which is at epidemic proportion now. Fortunately, Henderson County in our region has been spared the worst of that epidemic, although it certainly has an impact here. Also, at that time, there had been a kind of a rapid HIV outbreak in Austin, Indiana, right across the river from Kentucky. So syringe access exchange programs have been around since the 80s. The idea is very simple. People who are using illicit drugs, injecting illicit drugs, tend to share needles, which is a very good vehicle mechanism to spread infectious disease, namely HIV and hepatitis C and hepatitis B. But so the idea here is to provide clean syringes to individuals so that they're not sharing. That interaction also provides an opportunity to provide education. It also provides an opportunity to offer other services, such as testing for infectious disease. And it also provides a pathway to get people in recovery and to get people help. There is a study that indicates that people that participate in a syringe access exchange program are 5 times more likely to enter recovery than individuals that don't. So this legislation allowed the health department to operate these programs, but it requires the consent of fiscal courts and any home rule city where they're going to be operated. So I needed to start that conversation with you all. Our local Board of Health here in Henderson, about a year and a half ago, maybe almost 2 years ago, asked us to look into this and voted to support this. Since that time, we've done the research to determine whether we would be able to operate such a program and to determine if there's a need here in Henderson County. The answer to both of those questions is yes. You know, we are now, I think, have the competencies and the resources that we could operate such a program. We have support from partner organizations that say that there's a need, and then the data that we're looking at indicates that even though it's the level of opioid use and injectable drug use is not the catastrophic scale that we've seen in Louisville and other parts of the state, it certainly does happen here in Henderson County. There are individuals that certainly pose a risk to spread infectious disease. And this is a proven method. It's not the silver bullet. It's not going to fix everything, but it is a effective method to stop the spread of HIV and hepatitis C. The other thing is that the research has shown that the drawbacks from this are not what opponents have historically thought that they would be. That it does not encourage drug use. No one starts using illicit drugs because the health department's operating a syringe access program. And in fact, it has the opposite effect. People that participate in the program are more likely to seek help in a recovery. And in effect, this program saves lives in a couple of different ways by connecting people to resources that they need and stopping the spread of dangerous diseases in the community. So, again, not asking for a decision now, but I did want to approach you all, let you know that this is something that we think that has value, something that is needed. We've identified the resources to operate this. We're not asking for funding. We're simply asking for the fiscal court's consent and the opportunity to have that conversation and to provide any education that you all need to make an informed decision.
With that, Clay, I'd like to invite either Cindy Burton or John Marshall, if you wouldn't mind coming up and offering your thoughts. And if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself.
I'm Cindy Burton, and I'm the administrator of Matthew 25 Aid Services. Where'd my partner go? In crime. John and I have been partners in crime for many years.
John Marshall, president of the Board of Health, also a pharmacist in the area. So a few things I think he didn't cover. Number one, hepatitis is rampant in the state. Okay, I called my son 2 weeks ago after reading an article in the Gleaner that hepatitis A was the outbreak in Lexington had increased, and he needed to be vaccinated because it's spread a lot of times by people in the food industry that don't wash their hands good. They're affected. All right, Will eats out a lot. He doesn't cook, so he needed to be protected. I was surprised that when I called my sister, she said, obviously, they're having the issue in Lexington. She said at times we can't get the vaccine in. But she said, I got a shipment yesterday, send them in today. So I guess my point is, in order to stop this nasty disease, if it's being spread by people that are sharing needles, that would be maybe the first step. Quit letting them share needles and letting them use their own and disposing of them. Bring them back, swap them out, whatever you need to do. But also the cost of treating hepatitis. And if you've seen those commercials on TV for Havoni and all the ones that are thousands and thousands of dollars just to treat it. And a lot of them, are folks who have insurance through the state or through the Medicaid program. We're all paying for that. So I think this is a step in the right direction. And like he said, it's certainly not a cure-all. It's not a silver bullet. And I'm sure there's going to be issues that we'll address as they come along, but it's the first step. And I haven't talked to one healthcare professional yet that's opposed to it. So if you find me one, I'd like to try to convince him, but I don't think you'll find one.
I would just like to say that we're very, very supportive of this and certainly willing to work with the health department in any way we can because we see it every day in our clinic. We have people who do use injection drugs who have gotten HIV and who have gotten hepatitis C. And the first step to get them off of those things is to give them an opportunity to come and have a touch, right, with a healthcare provider who can say, while you're here today, let's test you for HIV because if you're positive, we can treat you. If they do have hepatitis C, we can offer to send them somewhere where they can get treatment and a cure for hepatitis C. That's very available. But I also think we have to look at what happens if we just kick the can down the road and all these people just get sicker and sicker and sicker. And then they all need liver transplants because the hepatitis C has made them so ill. I mean, this is an ugly disease that still kills. And if we can do this simple thing of just exchanging a needle for them to stop sharing needles and quit using dirty needles, because that's also another healthcare cost. So it just makes good sense. And this is evidence-based. So we know that the CDC has studied this and put their stamp of approval. This is a good intervention for what's happening in our country. So we highly support this.
Two magistrates on fiscal court sit on your local board, Magistrate Alexander and Magistrate Todd, and I'd be interested in any thoughts they'd like to add to the conversation.
Well, I think first, everybody's first expression is, hey, it's allowing them to use drugs, but after reading it and looking at other counties, I have spoken with other counties that has the needle exchange, and it's going very well. And the most I like about it is that they'll get offered help. So I would be supportive of this when it comes about. I think it's a good thing.
I also do. I've always come up with a kind of a silly analogy. I don't think that just because you give somebody a clean needle, they decide to do heroin or opiate drugs. I don't think that's hey, I got a free needle, let's go. I think that's ridiculous. So therefore, and I was going to ask you about the hepatitis C. Does anyone have some kind of rule of thumb of what it costs, say, if a person gets hepatitis C from eating in a restaurant or something like that, what it would actually cost?
Estimates are that like a single case would cost up to $80,000 to treat.
One case?
One case.
I saw this. I thought this was what you might have budgeted.
12 weeks of medicine is $80,000.
We could operate the exchange in Henderson County for half that money for a year, for what half of what one case would cost in terms of treatment.
So,
and hepatitis C, just to clarify, hepatitis C is bloodborne. It's going to be spread through the sharing of needles. The hepatitis A outbreak that we're seeing in the state is more person-to-person spread. So, but with this, it's spread through sexual contact. Hepatitis C is spread through sexual contact or through blood products.
So if a guy gets it and he doesn't have any insurance or anything, he can go to the emergency room and get. I mean, is that what happens? Is that how we wind up paying for it? Because of you can't turn anybody down.
They would more than likely sign up and maybe get Medicaid expansion that would cover the cost of the drug. Or if they're uninsured, the pharmaceutical companies will many times cover the cost of the drug. So the big thing is getting them tested, know they're positive, and then get them in the system to where we can get them to sign up for insurance. If they can't get that, sign them up for the health department's program that they're already providing millions of dollars of drugs to our county.
Right.
So those resources are right here. We just need to link together.
Mm-hmm. So people can get it paid for. It's a cost to the public, but not a just absolute
Correct.
dead cost to it. I mean,
Correct.
You've got programs to help alleviate the problem.
But it's much more cost effective to prevent it.
Yes.
I agree.
And
Sure. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, and just to add to that, I didn't mean to interrupt. Kentucky ranks #1 in the nation in acute hepatitis C infections.
Number
one.
Wow.
So.
And specific to the C type, is it actual? There's an actual cure for it.
Yes,
Because I don't know why I was thinking it was kind of like ongoing. You never really get rid of it. You carry it like forever, or contagious, or.
Yeah, not necessarily contagious, but you can have a chronic. People that are test positive will have we call those chronic cases. They're no longer ill, but they will always test positive.
They'll have a positive titer to it.
Yeah, and it was very common 70s, 60s because we weren't able to test for it, and so a lot of times, like if you had a medical procedure, a blood transfusion, it was spread that way. But that, of course, that risk has been eliminated because we now test the blood supply and prevent that from spreading that way.
Cindy, will you be one, and I get my question earlier, what will be the locations for the exchange? Like, would your facility be one in the health department or what?
I'm not sure we've worked out those details. We certainly are willing to provide space, have space. And I don't think this is something, Clay and I haven't talked about this, but this is not something that needs to roll Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Right. Most other cities that have done it 4 hours on Friday afternoons, or, they roll it out kind of small and then see, what's our reaction to that. And certainly, you blow it up if you needed to, but it's not something that I perceive running as a full-time 9 to 5. I think we could share it. We could do lots of different things, however the health department wants to do that.
Well, I guess the reason why I was kind of curious on that is, and I'm sure the other cities have worked this out, but if you were a user of the drugs, if you walk in and it's a certain time, people can go, oh, well, he's on, heroin. So I was trying to figure out the way of, so that somebody doesn't feel intimidated or concerned that, so I know y'all can work that out, because I don't want to discourage somebody from
Right,
coming
right.
because they're going to go and feel like they're kind of insinuating that they're...
George, I've worked with HIV for over 20 years, and I know there are people that are scared to walk in my office, but not everybody that comes there has HIV.
Yeah.
We have 40 employees. Brad comes to my place. So, I think that we've tried to normalize that so much in Henderson that it's not as a big issue as it used to be. But there's also people that don't want to go to the health department because Aunt Sue works there and they think they have an STD. Right. So I think that we all are equipped to work with that in any way that we need to.
And that's true. I think the multiple two, because your facility particularly, I think would really be good if you could be one of the ones. Yeah.
We're kind of out of the way.
Yeah.
I agree with all of that. Well said. I think at a minimum, we were initially, we expected to start slow. We think that we'll have to earn clients' trust, and word will have to kind of get out. I think at a minimum, we will be looking at several hours, a couple of days a week in our facility. But as needs evolve, as opportunities come open, I can promise you that we'll explore all of those.
Right.
One of the things that's important to me in this discussion, and Magistrate Todd touched on this, is the idea that part of the program will be an active outreach to people who take advantage of the program and an encouragement to get in the system and take advantage of resources to stop their drug habit. That it's not merely a gift, but it is a bit of a quid pro quo situation where they're asked questions about their ongoing health and encouraged to stop. What other way can we touch them than maybe to get them to come to the resources in this fashion? So it makes a lot of sense, especially if there's an active effort to try to get them to stop what they're doing and prevent the spread of further disease. We are going to be working on a resolution that you need to move forward. In the meantime, we'll be voting on that later in the year, but in the meantime, I'd like to encourage each of the magistrates who have more questions to either huddle with Clay or Cindy or John or even Charles or Bruce, who serve on the board, to get your questions answered. If you have any major concerns, maybe they can help, and we can revisit this conversation later in the year and perhaps vote on a resolution that you need to begin to institute the program. I appreciate you being here today. Are there any more questions of Fiscal Court to our guests? Thank you very much for the information, and we'll be back in touch soon.
Thank you all.
And Clay, I encourage you to leave your contact information with the court, and we'll direct any questions your way as needed.
Sure. Can I just send that to Kurt and distribute it?
Good deal.
Perfect. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, I'd like to invite Angie Hagedorn, who's head of our Humane Society, up to give us an update on animal control efforts.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Has everyone had an opportunity to review the financials? Are there any questions?
Looks much better.
Yeah, good job.
I'm working hard. I did want to let you know that Chief Crooks completed her National Animal Care and Control Training Level 2 last week. She completed it with an A average, so I'm extremely proud of her and her diligence in seeking more training. And there's only one more module that she will have to complete, and she'll be fully certified nationally with animal care and control. Our WAG Walk for the Humane Society is November the 10th, and we need more runners and walkers to sign up. So I would encourage, it's a fun walk. It is downtown, the typical 5K walk that they typically do. So it's a lot of fun. We will have animals there. So if you don't have a dog to walk and you want to walk one, I'm the lady to see. I did want to, Judge Schneider called me out there a couple of fiscal court meetings ago and said that I educate you every time that I come here, so I got you again. I need to define how our shelter is different than rescues. We are an open intake shelter. That means that if you are a Henderson County resident and you have a stray animal or an animal to surrender, we have to take it. We can't say, other than whenever I was closed for the parvo issue, we have to take it. Doesn't matter if it's what age, what kind of health condition it's in, what kind of aggressive condition it's in, we have to take it. With that being said, rescues are able to pick and choose more. I'm not pointing fingers at any rescues. I'm simply stating that with a rescue, they are able to pick and choose what comes into their shelter, whereas we do not have that. We don't have that ability. Animal control is also responsible for the health and well-being, as stated in the state law. We are responsible for the health and well-being of the animals in Henderson County or in any county that you're working in. So we are responsible for that. So that means that we have to monitor for sickness and we have to monitor for aggression, because to be responsible animal care and control officers, we cannot let an animal go back out into the community that's sick, and we cannot let an animal go back out in the community that has a history of being aggressive. Now, if we had unlimited resources and people willing to rehabilitate aggressive animals, then we would have a little bit more leeway. But we have to do our assessments, and we have to determine what is the best for our county. And we also have adopters who come from other states, come from other cities. We also are responsible to make sure that any animal that we send out is going out healthy and going out and not going to cause an issue in the county that they're going into. So, with that being said, euthanasia is part of our job. It is not something that we take lightly, and it is not something that we want to do. It is something that at times we are required to do. If an animal comes in severely sick or injured, then that's what we have to do. If an animal comes in and they are aggressive, we do not immediately go and say that they go down. We try to give them time. We understand that they may have come from an environment that was not healthy. We understand that they may have been around people that have encouraged this behavior. So we always give them time, and we always do a proper assessment to make sure that they are, that if there's a possibility for them to be rehabilitated, we try to do that. So, with that being said, the shelter cannot be considered a no-kill because we do have animal control there, and we are responsible for that. As the warden, the buck stops with me. Whenever an animal is, whenever there's a decision for euthanasia, it's not a one-person decision. It has never been a one-person decision. It is a group of us discussing it and weighing the pros and cons, in discussing what is in the best interest of this animal and the best interest of going back out into the community. I know that euthanasia is a hot button issue, but I wanted to give some clarification to that. It's disappointing to me that people think that we take euthanasia so lightly. If they would ever see what we have to go through, they may rethink their position, because it is not something that we want to do. We understand it's a responsibility that we have to do, and we follow through with that. The only people who could euthanize are animal control officers. They are certified by the Kentucky Veterinary Board. They have to go through extensive training. That training has to be renewed. They have to. It's a very monitored process. But I wanted to give some clarification to that, because I know that there are some misunderstandings about the decisions that are made as far as euthanasia is concerned. So with that being said, does anybody have any questions or concerns in regards to that? Because it's a very hard day whenever you have worked with an animal and you know that the risk to the community is such that you cannot put that animal back out. That whatever background that animal had has damaged it to a point that is where it is. Or it's been hit by a car and it is severely injured, or it comes in with parvo, comes in with distemper, and you know that those are highly contagious, and that bringing those into the shelter, you're risking all the animals in the shelter. Those are heavy decisions that we have to take into consideration, and we have to weigh, because we are an open intake shelter, and I cannot knowingly risk my shelter with those types of diseases. So
I think we understand the challenges you face, and I would encourage any people who may watch this video later who are prompted to criticize the Humane Society to first volunteer.
Yes.
Or address the board with questions before criticizing publicly a organization whose responsibilities they probably don't understand or don't appreciate or don't understand the larger picture. Like any law enforcement agency, there are a lot of misunderstandings and criticisms based on emotion or spur-of-the-moment judgments. So again, I think you willingly accept volunteer help at
Yes.
all levels. I would encourage anybody who wants to criticize the Humane Society to first volunteer and learn firsthand the challenges involved.
Yes, and I am there. I am very open to discussing our policies and procedures and how we manage things there, and what my responsibilities are. I'm more than open and willing to do that. So,
thank you. Any other questions? Appreciate the time.
thank you.
Keep up the good work. I'd like to ask County Clerk Renisa Abner to come forward, offer her report.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How's everybody?
Good.
Good.
Good. I have for you today the monthly report for September, and I also have a quarterly report because, again, our office operates on a calendar year versus fiscal year, so I have both of those reports today. First, the September report for 2018. The excess fees for the month, $88,736.64. And the total remitted to the county, $116,057.83. And I also have the quarterly information, which is excess fees for the quarter, $321,486.49. And the total paid for the quarter, $451,747.26. On a monthly comparison for September 17 versus September of 18, we are $37,000 less this year due to the tax sale. Last year it was in September, and this year we had it in August. So our August amount was greater. But when you compare the quarter, the last quarter, this same quarter for last year to this quarter of 18, our excess fees are up about $31,000. So we're doing quite well. And I also wanted to tell you that absentee applications in the office are really busy. We've had, in-house, we've had 185 people come in and vote. So we're very busy with absentee applications, and total applications, mail-in, and the ballots requested 442. So that's encouraging. And if you know a college student or someone that's going to be out of town, have them call us, email us. We can get them the application, fill it out, mail it back to us, but they have to do it by October 30th. So
not much time.
yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Any other questions of Renisa? Motion to accept her report.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions? Please call for a vote.
Magistrate Putman.
Aye.
Magistrate Warren.
Aye.
Magistrate Alexander.
Aye.
Magistrate Wilkerson.
Aye.
Magistrate Todd.
Aye.
Gentlemen, you have in your packets the quarterly report from the Henderson County Detention Center. Jailer Brady is not with us today. Are there any other representatives? Yes. Any further thoughts or comments on this report?
No, sir.
If you don't mind staying right there in case any of the magistrates have any thoughts. Magistrate Todd or Magistrate Wilkerson, as our jail committee, any other thoughts or ideas to add to the report?
No, not really. It's going well. It just, the building's getting old and it's requiring some repairs and some new doors and locks, and but other than that,
This report also includes the yearly inmate trust account reconciliation on the back. Yeah, notice that. So unless there are any questions, I can entertain a motion to accept this report.
so moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other questions?
Just this lack of prison beds, and in parentheses, inmates aren't being called into prison in a timely manner. I guess I'd ask Steve. Steve, is that the rocket docket thing? We talked about that, and that would be somewhat of a fix for that issue, wouldn't it?
Well, I was wondering a little bit to what they were referring there, if that
Yeah,
was
I guess I'm a little
transfers
same.
or whatnot. But the rocket docket is in place. We've had that in place since I believe August, and there have been I forget the exact numbers. I was a big part of getting it created. Now that it's created, it's more in Mr. Markwell's office. But we do have a shared employee that kind of has a foot in each office that is handling a lot of this. And the last I talked to him, they'd had I think it's about 15 people or so go through that process. And what that does is it cuts down the time between their circuit court arraignment and their sentencing. It cuts it down by several weeks. So that should be having an impact. But when you're talking about the jail and the kind of numbers they have, there's always a lot of drivers there to it, but it does appear as if that's working. We've had to do some education among the defense bar. It had been working in several other counties around us, so a lot of the defense attorneys were aware of it, but the ones that just did work in Henderson, it was kind of a new thing to them. But they seem to be getting it and embracing it, so we see the numbers on that going up quite a bit. But as far as any other specific drivers, with regard to that particular comment, that was going to be a question I was going to ask you.
Yeah, I've seen it in parentheses. I said, is it that we're not just getting them transported there in a timely fashion, or the prison itself is dragging their feet, or
And that was
hate to put you on the spot.
page 23D.
And I'd like to answer that, but I'm not 100% sure, and so I'm not. That's probably something that Jailer Brady would have to answer.
Okay.
I would assume Magistrate Putman, because it begins lack of prison beds. I don't know. It's probably not something that would be affected by.
So it's on that other
the
other end.
Like it's on
It's
the
other
Department of
end.
Corrections end.
But
my
the catch is,
understanding.
it's on our tab until it goes to the other end.
Exactly.
That's the catch.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they're not in any
Well,
hurry. The prison's not going to be in any hurry because we're paying the bills.
Actually, once they get sentenced, once they get final sentence through a circuit court, it switches from being county tab to state tab. So that's what Rocket Docket is doing, is it's switching the bill a little bit quicker on.
But still on a
several of those.
small scale.
But the question is going to be with regard, and again, that comment was oddly worded because it says lack of prison, other population concerns. Then lack of prison beds, parentheses, inmates aren't being called into prison in a timely manner. So that I don't know that that's something that's a court process or something that's an internal
May I-
movement process in DOC.
May I interject?
Please do.
Okay.
This man knows the jail.
Yeah. You were going to say, Kurt, help me, right? When a inmate gets sentenced here, Steve's right, goes from county to a state inmate most of the time. Now, if those state inmates, a lower class state inmate can be classified at the jail per DOC. But anybody that's doing any significant time or depending on the charges has to be classified by DOC at one of the prisons, usually Rotor. That is the problem. That's where the beds are stacked. So you got to wait for them to actually call that person in to prison to be classified. That's where a lot of the backup gets, is because the state just does not have those beds, is not getting the prisoners through at that level to be classified.
So it's a logjam at the
So it's a log
classification
jam.
point at the state prison.
Correct.
Okay.
So when does the tab start state instead of county?
The day that they are sentenced.
So not classified.
Not classified, no. The day they are sentenced
So
over
they
here.
could be sentenced and be on the state tab and still down here.
Yeah, they could be here. You know, some guys are, and it's just from my experience, some guys sitting there 6, 8 months, 9 months.
Wow.
Waiting to go to prison. But they are on the state tab at that point.
So it's not necessarily a financial concern as much as it is a
Space
facility
concern.
population concern.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
That makes a lot more sense.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other comments or questions? Motion to accept this report again.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further comments? Please call for a vote.
Master Putman.
Aye.
Master Warren.
Aye.
Master Alexander.
Aye.
Master Wilkerson.
Aye.
Master Todd.
You also have in your packet the Sheriff's Department report. And Mr. Crafton, who is representing the Sheriff's Department, has anything to add to that?
I move to accept.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other comments or questions about the Sheriff's Department report? Please call for a vote.
Master Putman.
Aye.
Master Warren.
Aye.
Master Alexander.
Aye.
Master Wilkerson.
Aye.
Master Todd.
Mr. Gold, your report.
Judge, I've got several checks today. First, payment for salaries, FICA, and retirement, $991.72. Flow through for a supplement to an assistant county attorney's salary, $458.33. Dental and life insurance, $2.50, $379.26. Health insurance, $240.66 and $8,927. Jail fees collected in the amount of $384.62, bringing the total remitted to the county today to $11,384.09, and bringing the fiscal year total to present $54,244.45.
Motion to accept those.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other questions of Mr. Gold? Please call for a vote.
Master Putman.
Aye.
Master Warren.
Aye.
Master Alexander.
Aye.
Master Wilkerson.
Aye.
Master Todd.
Aye.
This time I'd like to call Treasurer Brenda Ryder to present claims and also transfers, I understand.
Thank you, Brenda.
These are your bank balances after paying claims today. Your day-to-day appropriation line items should be at approximately 33%. And I also have some additional claims to add. From the general fund in the amount of $900.02 to commercial sector insurance brokers, this is a refund of insurance premium tax from a prior quarter. From the jail fund in the amount of $750 to the Kentucky Jailers Association, this is for the fall conference dues. from the LGEA fund to the City of Henderson in the amount of $49,872. This is from the landfill and solid waste appropriation line, and it is a budgeted item.
With those additions, any other questions about claims?
I noticed yesterday when we had our finance that I think, and Mr. Kraft may want, what didn't we buy 2 vehicles for the sheriff's department?
Yes, sir.
Also budgeted items.
Right.
Yes.
Right. That was the only thing as far as larger dollar amounts that we noticed.
Move to pay the claims.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Again, any other questions on claims? Please call for a vote.
Magistrate Putman.
Aye.
Magistrate Warren.
Aye.
Magistrate Alexander.
Aye.
Magistrate Wilkerson.
Aye.
Magistrate Todd.
Also have 3 transfers. These are appropriation line transfers, and these are just transferring appropriations within the existing budget. And you should have a form that looks. First transfer, transferring to the refunds line in the amount of $2,500 from the contingent appropriations line, and this is in the general fund. In the road fund, transferring to the recycling department office supplies, $500. This is being transferred from the parks advertising line. Also in the road department, transferring to the parks part-time help in the amount of $4,700, and this is coming from the parks employees salary line.
Any questions about those transfers? Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions? Please call for a vote.
Magistrate Putman.
Aye.
Magistrate Warren.
Aye.
Magistrate Alexander.
Aye.
Magistrate Wilkerson.
Aye.
Magistrate Todd.
Thank you.
I think it's important to note that, as Treasurer Ryder mentioned, at this point in the year, we should be at 33% of expenditures and revenues. Hopefully, I know revenues are cyclical. Expenditures tend to be less so. But just as a point of reference, general fund is at 29% of expenditures. The road fund is at 23% and change. The jail fund is at 28%. LGEA is at 25%. And the other fund that we spend money out of, I guess the Economic Development Fund, is at a typical percent. So we continue to maintain just below a budgeted expense. I'm very happy to see that and keep close watch on that. But thank you very much to all the department heads who are being very frugal and paying attention to their bottom lines. And thank you, Treasurer Ryder. At this point, I'd like to invite any members of our audience who would like to address fiscal court for the good of the county. Please feel free to come forward. Yes, sir. Please introduce yourself.
Good morning. My name is Mickey Wells.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to address the fiscal court this morning. I appreciate your time and trouble. I live on Old Tom Smith Road. I know that my magistrate, Mr. Warren, knows exactly where I live. Old Tom Smith Road is a gravel portion that is right off of Tom Smith Road, and we exist just northeast of the Audubon Parkway, and we come off of Tom Smith Road, right where Tom Smith goes over the Audubon Parkway, about halfway between the Zion exit and the Hebbardsville exit. So that gives you a geographic idea of where we are. I'm here today to ask for the court's advocacy in readopting county maintenance of Old Tom Smith Road. We have 3 full-time families that live on Old Tom Smith Road. It's about a quarter mile long. In and of itself, that's not very much, but Old Tom Smith Road, for those of you who are aware of the way it looks, it's a very wide berth. And it's a great place for the county school buses to turn around every day. And I don't blame them, because they've got a good view going either way of Tom Smith Road, a good place for them to turn around. The county school transportation department has decided that would be a good place to separate school routes. So every morning, the elementary run and the high school run, and every afternoon, the elementary run and the high school run of the school buses use Old Tom Smith Road as a place to turn their buses around. Now, you all know what a school bus is, a pretty large vehicle and very heavy, and it's done using that road every school day, 5 days a week throughout the school year, has caused considerable erosion right there at that wide berth where Old Tom Smith opens up. So that's one thing. County, is it the county that maintains Old Tom's? I mean, is it the county that maintains Tom Smith Road, or is that the state? The state? Okay. Well, whoever it is, they also use Old Tom Smith Road's wide opening to stage their vehicles when they're out there maintaining the road out there. They leave their vehicles parked there overnight. They use it as a turnaround spot. So the county and state entities, they use Old Tom Smith Road, for a lot of different reasons. Local farmers use it as a good place to pull their trucks at harvest time. It's harvest time, and they use it to move their trucks around there for their harvesting. So I'm just here today to put the bug in your ear. I've talked with the county road department supervisor, who told me that he and the county engineer are going to go out and take a look at Old Tom Smith Road there to see what it would take to bring it back up to county standards. I appreciate your time and trouble, and I know that you've got a lot of other expenditures to consider, but I wanted to ask for your advocacy in the readoption of county maintenance of Old Tom Smith Road.
With that, I'll ask County Engineer Bill Hubiak, if you wouldn't mind stepping to the microphone real quick.
Oh, how do you do?
So just to clarify, Old Tom Smith Road is not on our current maintenance list.
No, sir.
But you have agreed to go review that road with Jeff Risley?
This is the first I've heard of it.
Okay. Would that be a problem?
No, it would not be a problem.
Okay. So with the fiscal court's forbearance, I'd like to give both Jeff Risley and Mr. Hubiak a chance to review the situation and come back to the court with both a recommendation on the road itself and the procedure we would need to follow if we chose to readmit it to county maintenance. There is a process. So with that, if that sounds reasonable to you, Mr. Hubiak, we will
Yes, sir.
wait on your report. And if that, Magistrate Warren.
Judge, if I may, one thing, Mr. Hubiak, that I'd like you, as you're looking at that, to take a look into, and my staff and I would be glad to assist if it's necessary, is to determine the exact status of Old Tom Smith Road. As you know, something can be a county road that is maintained, it can be a county road that is not maintained, or it can be a private road that is owned by the surrounding landowners. And it depends on exactly how things were done when the road was discontinued to determine what that is. And that will be something that will be a key moving forward, is determine what the current legal status of that road is. And I'd like to work with you on that.
We will check into that, yes, sir.
Yep. Any other thoughts?
No, I agree. The only other thing, and I think you mentioned it, there is some farmland that the farmers go in and out. That was the only thing you had mentioned to me. I just wanted to add to the. No, that's it.
Okay. Thank you for coming today, Mr. Wells, and we will check this out.
I am very grateful for the time and trouble of everybody involved. Thank you much.
Thank you.
I have something else, though.
Mr. Hubiak.
Yes. I would like to ask for the court's approval to go out for bid for a dump truck for the county road department. We have one budgeted in this fiscal year, and seeing the constraints on the building process of the vehicles and checking with state contract pricing, which will probably be changing in January, I would like to go out now for it to see where we stand on getting a truck ordered in the system before the price changes at the beginning of the year here.
Double check. This would be part of the $366,000 new machinery and equipment line item.
That is correct.
It's part of the budget. Anybody have an objection to Mr. Hubiak going and pursuing the bids now?
Do we need a motion? We do. Okay, I'll make a motion that we allow County Road Department to put out bids for the dump truck that's being in question.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions on this? Again, it's would fit within our budgeted line item for that purpose, and try to get a good bid on it in a timely fashion. Please call for a vote.
Magistrate Putman.
Aye.
Magistrate Warren.
Aye.
Magistrate Alexander.
Aye.
Magistrate Wilkerson.
Aye.
Magistrate Todd.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else in the audience this morning who would like to address fiscal court for good of the county? Mr. Crafton?
Yeah, one other thing. We applied for a grant back in November for through the Kentucky Office of Homeland Security for firearms, or replacing our service weapons. We finally have got to the point where we've received a contract on it. We've signed the contract, sent it back to them. As soon as they sign their part of it, we'll be cleared to order new weapons. I just want to make you all aware of that it has been approved. So.
And good job in getting a grant for that expense, too. Appreciate that. Anybody else? Thank you. Magistrate Putman?
Thank you, Judge. Nothing at this time.
Magistrate Warren?
I want to thank the road department for the community cleanups that we've had. I was for the Spotsville Basket, the multiple communities that they serve. And I don't think a lot of people in the public realize the magnitude of employees that it takes to do those cleanups. I think essentially all the employees of the road department were out there, so 22 people, as well as the equipment. So it's a real investment on our part as fiscal court to provide that service. I don't know that we collected as much material as we would like to have done as compared in the past, but I think part of that is that people do go ahead and take some of that products to the landfill, so maybe they don't wait like they used to when the county did do these cleanups. But Bill, if you would tell the road department thank you, and I told them yesterday myself, but it is a real investment on their part time-wise, because then it puts them behind in other projects they need to be working on. So other than that, everything's fine.
Thank you. Magistrate Alexander?
Nothing at this time.
Magistrate Wilkerson?
Everything's good, thanks.
Magistrate Todd?
Well, I have one thing. I had a couple things, really. One is Conway Road. I've got to call it again. I mean, I know you say we're waiting on the Corps. However, I don't know why we're waiting on the Corps. We just need to address that issue.
I'll be glad to get back with the coal mine again and see where they stand with the Corps on the permit. I mean, that's what the issue was the last time. I have not heard anything back from either the Corps, which we asked to notify us immediately once they got the permit done, nor the coal mine.
Right. I just appalled that we were waiting on the Corps engineer. Okay, thanks. And another issue, I've seen a gentleman out, and I've got a couple of calls last night, would like for us to resurrect the golf court ordinance for golf courting and riding in subdivisions. So I told him I'd bring that up, and I still say we should be able to do that. But
You can. I encourage you to send them my way. We can maybe discuss having another discussion. Discuss having a discussion. That's
all right.
We did have some back and forth about that in a workshop, I think a year ago,
And we did say we would look at it again.
send them my way. We will see what we can do.
All right.
Still got a draft on the shelf.
Yep, we need to bring it out there, Steve. Look at it.
We'll dust it off.
Thank you.
Mr. Gold?
So I wasn't going to say anything. I normally save my quotes for like when there's a student here, but on the way in this morning, I was listening to the news, and you know, it's election season. There's all kinds of nastiness, everything going on nationally in the news, and I don't know where my son came up with it, but he said something that I thought was pretty cool. He said, you know, if you don't have something nice to say, you're not thinking hard enough. And I thought that was pretty cool, and I just thought I'd share it. So other than that, everything's going well in the county attorney's office, and just let us know if there's any way that we can assist any of you.
Thank you. In that spirit, I attended the Kindle Candidates Forum last night, and I thought actually the debate was productive and constructive and restrained and civil. Enjoyed.
I wanted to be clear, I was talking about national politics.
Well, it can certainly leak down to the local level. There's no doubt about that. And sure. Tonight at 5:30 at the Ramada, I believe, the same time, the state offices that are up for elections their candidates will be questioned, have the chance to offer their thoughts. So I encourage people to take part in the deliberative process and attend and listen and ask questions if you can. One of the things I like about gatherings like the one we had last night is that many of the candidates hang out and listen to candidates in the races, so it gives people to come up and talk to them and perhaps take them in a corner and ask questions, more specific questions. And I think most of the candidates that I see are more than willing to do that, so that's always good. But people have to come out and participate. So I encourage people to do that again tonight, 5:30 at the Ramada. And I appreciate Kindle organizing that every election season, give us a chance to have a forum. That is all I have, so unless anybody has anything else they'd like to throw out for the good of the county, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor can leave.